This video is sponsored by Serious Readers, the lighting company. I've been using their lights now for around 6 months and now use their lamps all of my painting and hobby projects. So as well as the adjustable neck on this, you've also got the head which can rotate around like so, and there's also a ball joint there so you can adjust the light to whichever way you want it to go. So with the lamp, it's adjustable beam. There's a dimmer here, so I can take the lighting down or I can turn it right up, so that's fully controllable. You can also adjust the beam here by turning this and go for wider or narrower spread on the light beam. Then the light is matched to true daylight using the LED daylight wavelength technology. So the great thing about this is whatever you're painting, it's coming through as daylight. It's nice and crisp and clear for your painting, and also finer detail. So recently I've been working on my Adeptus Mechanicus, rebasing and painting up new units of the army. But these lights are fantastic, just for getting that daylight technology. So a true reflection on the colours, fantastic for painting finer detail. No strain on the eyes here, that's the great thing about these lights. On top of that, you've got low heat coming off these because it is LED technology, and low energy use on them as well. So for all your hobby needs, you do need a decent lighting setup. So I'd recommend the Serious Readers lights. These lights are built here in the UK. They come with a 30-day free trial and also a 5-year warranty, and that includes the bulbs as well. So I'll put a link for these lamps in the video description below. And then when you make your purchase, use the code STRIKE7, and that's for any of the lights, the classic light, the Alex light, and the high definition light. And when you use that code, you'll receive a second lamp here. So it's this one here that you can see on the left hand side. So then you'll have the perfect setup for painting, just the cross beam of the two lamps for all of your painting and hobby needs. So check out the link in the video description below. Happy painting and enjoy the video. Right, welcome to this complete army video. It's for the Space Wolves. Haven't done a video for them for a good while. Just some final tweaks of the list, just off the painting desk with final model to finish this list off. So happy enough with the list here. See what you think. It's 2,000 points, 9th edition, and I'm gonna go for first spawn only here for this list. So it's geared up to a nice representation of what I think the Space Wolves are all about. See what you think of the list here. I'm going to build it up from the start, go for all the units and upgrades, talk about the overall strategy of the army, and just a chance to immerse yourself into Space Wolves and their tactics and how to put an army together. So before we get going, do check out the channel sponsors, link for them in the video description below. It's the Outpost. They do 40k at a discount, so you can get a hold of your 40k models, Age of Sigmar, other gaming systems, all at a discounted rate. And if your order is large enough, you can get free postage as well. So for Space Wolves, some of the units, a good number of the units are coming from the Space Marines Codex, but I have a few Primaris units, and I tried to sort of slowly bring them in, but and this is just my own taste, but I'm just not so keen on running Primaris along with regular Space Marines. It just, even after the years that they've been out, it still just looks quite odd. Space Marines and then these bigger Space Marines fighting alongside them. Not too fussed about it, but for the Space Wolves list, first spawn's good enough. I like the first spawn units that are available. Still some amazing plastic kits the Games Workshop have for them, and so I've gone this time around at least exclusively first spawn Space Marines here for the Space Wolves. So it's not a hard and fast draw. Like for my Blood Angels, for example, I'm running Primaris and regular Marines together. For my Imperial Fist, it's going to go pure Primaris, so I'm mixing it up. But they fit. I think it fits particularly nicely for the Space Wolves. So the overall tactics and strategy for them. This is one of the more aggressive, close combat orientated Space Marine chapters. Fighting against the toughest of targets in close combat. Here they are battling away against the Tyranids. There's no, and that's not playing defensively, that's them going after the Tyranids. That's the kind of thing you're looking at. The Space Wolves very much geared towards close combat, and like wolves, you know, hunting the enemy down, but cunningly and with intelligence. So like a good battle plan and aggressive play from the Space Wolves. So I wanted to try and replicate that theme as much as I could with my list. Also like to go for a nice bit of variety to have a good representation of the models that are available, and also for Space Marine chapters, try and pick units that are unique to that chapter to get a good real celebration of what each of the chapters is about. So I've tried to do that here for this Space Wolves army. And it's all about deeds and sagas and heroics on the battlefield. So there's a number of personalities running through the army as well. These heroes looking for glory. They're fighting against the Orcs. Gazkar Thraka, Ragnar Blackmane fighting away. So, yeah, just aggressive Thunderwolf cavalry charging into stuff. So, classic here, enemy fighting against the Orcs. So, a Space Marine chapter that's going to lock horns in close combat. That's the kind of list I wanted to build, and it's a fun and exciting way to play. So, that's the kind of theme I want to go for with this list. And you're welcome to copy this list. You can take elements of it. It'd be great to hear your feedback. So I'll put the list in the video description below. You're welcome to copy that list. You can take the whole list if you want, or elements of it, experiment and so on. But you're welcome to take the ideas discussed in this video. It'd be great to hear feedback as well. And if you agree or disagree with elements of the list, what you change, you can all talk about that in the comments section below. If you're a channel member, you can discuss that over in Discord as well. And there's the facility there to just leave description and photographs of your own battle reports and so on. You can give us feedback about games that you're currently playing. So the plan is to build this list up here. What I'll do is we're going to zoom in first of all, a bit of hobby time, chance to take a look at the models. Space Wolves are brilliantly themed colour scheme for them. Just always love the colour scheme for Space Wolves, so a chance to take a look at some of the models. So this is Bjorn the Fell-Handed. So this is one of the brilliant kits that Games Workshop have done for the Space Marines. So look at that, fantastic. Now in that same kit, I believe there's the option to create 3 different Dreadnoughts. You can also go for the Space Wolves Venerable Dreadnought. Look at the detail on that shield, absolutely fantastic. And then from the same kit you can also do Murder Fang as well. So fantastic idea. This model, most of the army has been painted by Siege Studios. Link for them in the video description below for your own painting commission work. But these have been painted up, I think the majority of these painted at the bronze level by them. But superb work by Siege Studios. Very, very impressive. Nice, tidy work. I wanted them painted like as per the box art. So the same kind of colour schemes and so on. For these, they even put, you can see a glimmer coming off those claws. It's an extra touch they've done, so real nice work. They painted this one, and then I painted Bjorn here to match him. They painted them first for me, and then I just needed Bjorn painted, so I painted him myself. Just to match him like so. Look at the detail on that. If I zoom in, the sculpting work on that. Absolutely fantastic. So, beautiful kits for sure. And I try and do that with Space Marine chapters, try and celebrate each of the chapters by taking units that are unique to them. Bjorn the Fell-Handed, one of the Space Wolf character Dreadnoughts, totally unique to that chapter. Then other units that are unique to the Space Wolves, like the Wulfen. Remember the controversy when these came out, but I don't think they fit in just fine. They're a super unique unit for the Space Wolves. That's the squad leader, and you can equip them in different ways. Here. Crazy hair and that sort of ginger colour scheme for the hairstyle, so very iconic. For them, they also do these great frost axes here. So, very nice. And then I'd of course have to show you the Thunderwolf cavalry. So that's a squad leader I've done with a Thunderhammer. I've just finished a full painting tutorial for the Space Wolves. Always needed to get it done, but that is complete. That should be live on the channel. So if you like the colour scheme here, I show you how to paint this exact model in that video. So to show you how to do all the preparation work, basing, transfers, washes, base colours, freehand, all of that stuff covered in that video, so do check that out. That'll give you the full lowdown. And if you follow along step by step, just breaks it down step by step, just follow me along as I'm painting the model, and you'll be able to achieve the exact same results that you see here. So if you like the look of these and how they've come out, then just follow that tutorial step by step, and that'll guide you through the whole process. And if you take your time, practice, there's no reason why you can't get the same results that you're seeing on the screen. So that's actually a little bit of a kit bash. I've run out of Thunderhammers for the Space Wolves, so this one's actually taken from a Terminator model, just cut off at the wrist. Just stuck on there, I've got away with it, so it looks alright. There's some of the other ones. It's one of the models painted by Siege. It's all matching quite nice, so you can go for different colours with the Thunderwolf mounts. Then I painted this one up here. I just lifted him up on some rocks, just to make him stand out a bit more. This is my battle leader. Wolf Guard battle leader. So there he is. That's a kit bash shield. I just built that from a number of spare bits, just to make it a little bit different. So there's a few other characters. There's a Librarian or Rune Priest. This model is lead. I guess you could, if he's still available, we can get him in fine cast with his runic axe. And then you can get Space Wolves have their own, well, they've got their own infantry types. They've got their own Terminators. They'll fight like normal, pretty much the same as regular Terminators, but their own sculpts here. It's all the pelts and furs. Look at that, crazy stuff. He just looks like a hero by himself. That's just a regular Terminator. There's others. Very cool models. You know, for personality and for, you know, head swaps, options, weapon options, and like detail for all these pelts and extra bits, Space Wolves are fantastic for that. Just full of character. So if you're looking for something a little bit, that's actually just a regular Terminator model. The older Terminator plastic models have just stuck bits to make that Space Wolves one. Maybe there's one that's a bit more. Yeah, here we go. This one's more Space Wolves unique looking. So I've from another Space Marine kit painted up a Cyclone missile launcher on there, but I don't want it permanent because this is one of the from the regular Terminator squad, so I've just blue tacked it on. Don't tell anybody. It's just a temporary. Whilst they're currently quite good, that's just temporarily on there, and then I can just remove that. I could magnetise the whole thing and fiddle around with it, but just a bit of blue tack, you know, just to put it together quickly, and I can remove it as and when I need. And then you got the famous blood claws here. They're bolted chainsaw berserk nutcases, brilliant in close combat. Just tons of attacks, hitting really well. There's loads of poses, and then with the slightly different markings of the red shoulder pads here, it's the Grey Hunters. Like so. I actually use these in my long Fangs squads. But that's pretty much it. There's other models I don't have in the list here, like Crom Dragon Gaze. Hope to bring him back one day, but he's currently not in this list. But again, fantastic model. Fantastic model. Absolutely superb model, this one. Absolutely brilliant. So those are the models. I still think Space Wolves, Firstborn Space Marines, Space Wolves is one of the best collections available out there. Some really, really good models. And still, you know, the sculpt wise, absolutely fantastic. So, big fan of the Firstborn and for the Space Wolves. And as I said, got plenty of primaries going on. I thought, well, maybe I'm just going to go pure Firstborn to see if it works here for Space Wolves. So that's a bit of a showcase for the models. We'll now start building this list up. So first up's army structure. So running a battalion, that's it, across the board. So it's not going to cost me any CP for that. And then paying, and I can add and drop these, but I'm paying 4 CP for Warlord traits and relics here for this list. So I'm going to start the game with 2 CP for your regular Warzone Nephilim games, which is okay. I'm not really dependent on too many stratagems. It's nice to have some coming through, but I'm not too heavy dependent on them. So starting off with 2 should be okay. I'd like to, it's the Wolflord and Thunderwolf mount just to really give them some good upgrades is the idea, but we'll build this up as we go along. So the first HQ choice is Bjorn the Fell-Handed. So Bjorn the Fell-Handed Now he's in the Space Wolves book. He's unique to the Space Wolves. So with this arm, there's a couple of little like tricks going on. I want to play like a melee-based army, but one that's not stupid and going to get caught out, but an army that's quite clever and cunning in the way it operates. And one of the ways of doing that is to run multiple characters behind the screen of other units, shielding units like cavalry and infantry. So you're going to see that. You're going to see these clusters of infantry, and then behind them these character units. And the idea is these characters can then be sheltered, the opponent can't shoot at them, and so I can carry some quite heavy hitting units forwards, but they're shielded by this sort of infantry line. And that sort of goes back to the Viking kind of style with the Schiltrum or the shield wall being formed up and the nobility and the characters being protected by the shield wall, and the opponents try and break the shield wall to get through. Sort of historic kind of idea going on with that. I like the idea of that for the Space Wolves, just this body of regular infantry, the opponent's got to try and break them. That philosophy, that idea has been strengthened with the recent edition of Armour of Contempt, so really helping out regular Space Marines, helping out Terminators as well, just giving them that bit more durability. Also the wounds increase from 1 wound to 2 wounds has been a massive help as well. So my Schiltrum, my shield wall, has got tougher and stronger as time has gone on, which is good news because it adds further protection for these characters. So one of those heavy hitting characters that can be sheltered behind the main battle line is Bjorn the Fell-Handed. So to get to him, because he's 8 wounds, the opponent's got to try and clear away any screening units first before they can try and bring Bjorn down. If they can do that, he's a decent profile. He has weapon skill and ballistic skill 2+, movement 6, toughness 8 for Dreadnought is fantastic, 8 wounds, 5 attack space, 3 up save. Now what's great about him and running characters this way is that no matter what wounds he's on, there's no damage bracket, damage chart here, so he's always going to move at the same speed, fight at the same, and shoot at the same efficiency. So that's another big plus, as opposed to taking higher winged vehicles that then have damage brackets and depreciate and get worse and worse as they take damage. He's not too cheap, 175 points. I take the heavy flamer option, and then I do take the twin Lascannon. So what you've now got is a very reliable 2-shot, 2s to hit, and then D6 damage weapon coming through. So he can be shielded and protected. He can advance and push up with the other units. When the time's right, he can get involved in close combat, but he's not just wasted wandering around the table. He can lay down some pretty accurate and dangerous firepower with his twin Lascannon as well. So Bjorn the Fell-Handed is in. Then once he gets into close combat, he's got the True Claw, which is +5 strength, which is going to be strength 12, even -4, which is fantastic, D6 damage. He's hitting on 2, he's got 5 attacks, then you've got Space Marines on the charge, or being charged is like 6 attacks at a time, and you can reroll wounds with the True Claw as well. So he's dangerous enough. And then the other bonus is whilst he's with those protective units, he'll then give them reroll hit rolls of 1 for core units within 6 inches. So he's buffing them whilst they're protecting him. Then the other massive bonus for Dreadnoughts, which I'm a big fan of Dreadnoughts at the moment, for Space Marines, is Duty Eternal with the -1 damage characteristic for them. So damage 2 becomes damage 1, D6 damage is D6 -1 damage. That all really does help to add to the durability of him. And then on top of that, he's got legendary tenacity, so he's got a 5+ feel no pain on top of all of that as well. So he is quite durable, and if you combine that with him being able to shelter behind units, he often survives pretty good once you start to combine all those things together. Plus Armour of Contempt has been a massive help as well. So Bjorn the Fell-Handed is in. He's worth protecting, 195 points in total, which is well worth protecting and keeping him alive, laying down that decent firepower and then dicing up stuff in close combat. And he acts as a nice backup. The other aspect is that I've got this battle line of infantry. They're okay in close combat, they'll kill hordes and stuff, but they're going to need help against heavier targets. And the idea is I have these characters wandering around the lines, and again sort of very Viking sort of style, you know, something tough and nasty comes towards the shield wall, character emerges from the shield wall to take them on and be a hero in close combat and so on. So that whole kind of theme is running quite nicely with this idea. So you're going to see the overall battle plan. like an infantry block line fighting in multiple units. These characters plugging the gaps and breaking through and pushing through and supporting in the form of Dreadnoughts and other models. I've also got a cavalry wing as well, which you'll see with the Thunderwolf cavalry. And then also to support that battle line, I also have some counter-punching units to counter-punch and break through as well. So we'll just gradually sort of build this up and you'll see this list kind of expands. So we'll just move some of these out of the way. So Bjorn the Fell-Handed is in, one of my heroes for this list. So next up, I guess you could say Bjorn's in charge of the infantry. You know, he marches with them. I've always liked this, you know, Space Marines marching with Dreadnoughts combination. Looks very, very cool on the battlefield as well. So then we'll go. I guess we'll go for the commander of the cavalry here. And what Space Wolf army would be complete without Thunderwolf cavalry? So they're quite well represented. Just to expand them a little bit here for this list. You've got so many great characters. All of these. Got Ragnar Blackmane for Primaris if you want to go down that route. There's loads here. You can customise your own characters. You can do Wolfguard battle leaders. Very cool. But I've gone for a Warlord on a Thunderwolf mount. So this is mine customised and built model just here. Saw him in the showcase, I'll put him just there. So he's going to start you off at 110 points, not too expensive. For that you're going to get 4 attack space. You've got 7 wounds on this model, so there's almost as many wounds as the Dreadnought. It's fantastic. Toughness 5, 3 up save. 10-inch move, they're nice and quick. They have... I'll try and pick out as many rules and hints as I can here. Swift Hunters. So you can advance and charge. Yeah. And each time you make a piling move or consolidation move, model this unit can move an additional inch as well. So nice and swift for these. I want to cover a few before we go any further. Yeah. So if you pick the aggression theme, which surely you must for Space Wolves, that's their style, you do get rewarded for it. Savage Fury. Whilst the Assault Doctrine is active for your army, so it's like turn 3 onwards. Each time model that unit makes a melee attack, a modified hit roll of 6 pops an extra hit. So scoring extra hits on 6s, turn 3 onwards. So excellent. It really is a big help. Then, on top of that, you've got you have to go to the Space Marine book for these rules. And you just look up Space Wolves here, Hunters Unleashed. So each time a model with this tactic makes a melee attack, if that model's unit made a charge move, was charged or performed a regular intervention, you get +1 to the hit roll. So, like your regular infantry hitting on 2s. The -1 for Thunderhammers is cancelled out by this, so this is all excellent. And the units of this tactic are eligible to perform heroic interventions as if they were characters. So regular infantry units can now, and cavalry and so on, can now perform heroic interventions. Like they come into the rescue of these heroes and characters. So that's the idea behind that. So you're getting rewarded. They're funneling you towards close combat and aggression. So Warlord and Thunderwolf cavalry. He's got like 4 attack space. He's okay. But he needs equipped and needs helped and needs boosted. I want him to be tough and durable and also punch quite well in close combat. So, I mean, you may agree or disagree, but I've gone for some relics and warlord traits here. So, we'll do Saga, you pick one. I've gone for Wolfkin. I can experiment with these. So, an enemy model is destroyed as a result of a melee attack made by this model, so he needs to kill someone in close combat. Once he does that, while a friendly Space Wolf's core unit is within 6 inches of that model, the unit is always treated as having made a charge move for the purposes of shock assault, which just everyone just keeps getting that +1 attack, which I imagine would be pretty useful. Then, yeah, I give him a Warlord trait from the Space Marine book, Imperium Sword. It gives him reroll charges. So now you've got 10-inch move, an advanced move, and a rerollable charge. So he's nice and swift. It also gets +1 strength, +1 attack on the charge, or if he heroically intervenes. So now you could be in a situation, say turn 3, where you've got base of 4 attacks, +1 on the charge, Space Marines, +1 on the charge for Imperium sword, and then 6 is popping extra hits, and he's on +1 to the hit roll. On top of that with his Thunderhammer, so he'll be on 2s to hit, and he'll stay on 2s to hit. So now you're looking at a fair amount of hits coming through. So that's the idea with that one. Then, yeah. So I then pay the points to give him Adamantine Mantle. I want him to survive. He's got 7 wounds, so I think that's worth trying to salvage. So for that you get a D6 5 pluses for feel no pain, ignoring wounds. It really does. I found it does help, and it's worth doing if you really want to keep him alive. And then I give him the Pelt of the Balewolf. Each time melee attack is made against the bearer, I'm expecting to get him into close combat. It's -1 to the hit roll and -1 to the wound roll against him, which is pretty useful actually. So you're sort of paying quite a low amount of points, but then just investing some extra buffs and bonuses to make him as good as possible. So I pay points for his 110 points. I then pay 20 points for his Thunderhammer. It's debatable about the shield now. If I take a Stormshield, you don't get Armour of Contempt, I believe, but you do get +1 to your armour save, so you'll go up to a 2-up armour save, which can be helpful if you're up against hordes, don't lose silly wounds. But it comes with a built-in 4+ invuln save anyway, for the Belt of Russ. So I could drop the shield and save 10 points, so it's something to think about. But if you do pay for the shield, it works out 140 points for him. It's 140 points. It's pretty heavy hitting, nice and durable, and so points wise, he's not too bad at all, even though it has cost a few command points. So yeah, and this list is open to change. Leave your own comments and suggestions, which I'll read with interest, and I can adjust and change the list around, tweak it, and make it as good as possible. But that's him, and he's sort of to lead the cavalry wing. Then, and I think I'm doing this a fair bit in armies at the moment, I'm doing sort of 2 main characters, then like a supporting character, more of a minor character, cheaper one. So for this one we go to the Space Marine book. I don't really need to look up the profile. I'm running a Librarian, or a Rune Priest as it would be for the Space Wolves. So that's this model here. I used to give buffs and bonuses mostly to the battle line, in the form of a Relic and Psychic powers. So he's actually important enough. So as far as Psychic powers are concerned, I'm up for changes. So you can manifest 2. So the first one I'll take is Stormcaller. It's a blessing. It's warp charge value of 6. Quite likely it's going to go off. If manifested until the start of the next psychic phase, whilst the units within 6 inches of this psyker, friendly Space Wolves models receive the benefits of light cover. So it's not just core units, it's everybody gets light cover. That's pretty good, especially if I'm trying to push a shield bolt or a block of infantry forwards and they're not going too quick. Levels of protection will be greatly appreciated. So to be able to call down light cover on them is pretty good. You can't always hug and use terrain to your advantage. Sometimes you have to move out into the open, especially if you're trying to take a direct route towards the opponent. So if you can create light cover with a psychic power, then that's very good indeed. And then yeah, the other one is to try and buff and help out units. Instincts Awakens, warp charge value of 6. Again, quite likely it's going to go off. If manifested, select one friendly Space Wolves unit within 18 inches of the psycho, so it's not just core but any unit. Until the start of the next psychic phase, each time that unit makes attack, the Assault Doctrine is considered to be active for that attack instead of the currently active Doctrine. If the Assault Doctrine is already active for your army, then on an unmodified wound roll of 6, improve the AP by 1. So it is cumulative with the Assault Doctrine. So there's that one. It's not bad. You've got a crucial melee, you can just give them just an extra little bit of buff and bonus with Instincts Awoken. You've obviously got Smite available as well to kick out some more wounds, and you've got at least got a Psyker that can help to deny at least one psychic power coming through. So he's in. I'd consider maybe not taking him if it was just for those bonuses, but I've also given him a Relic. And this one absolutely definitely is worth the CP. So give him the Armour of Russ. He immediately gets a 2-up armour save and a 4+ invulnerable save. So that's massively increased his durability. Don't really want to put him into any kind of trouble, but that will help. And this is the main bit. At the start of the fight phase, you can select one enemy unit with engagement range of the bearer. That unit is not eligible to fight this phase until all other eligible units from your army have done so. So just shutting down an enemy unit and making them fight last. That's massively crucial in a game. So you can do all sorts of different things with this. You can, say you've got 2 important charges coming up. If one charge goes in, the opponent could interrupt on the other. And really with the Space Force, you're looking for multiple charges to go ahead, not just, you can't really funnel in one attack at a time, it's got to be multiple charges. And the threat of interrupt play is dangerous enough. So the idea of him is he can shut an enemy unit down, stop them from fighting back, and that's like a game-changing moment potentially in a battle. So what you can do is your 2 charges go ahead, he charges into one of the combats, you're then free to fight with the other combat, knowing the opponent can't interrupt because you've chosen to shut an enemy unit down with him. So tactically, very, very, very useful indeed, giving him that relic. And I'll put him in amongst the main block. You can work with them, you can bless units, shut enemy units down, and grant light cover. So there's just multiple functions for him. So usually you'll see him in the heart of the army with the troops. Alright, so we've got ourselves 2 decent characters that I can shield and hide behind stuff, and again another character for decent buffs and bonuses. I think that's pretty good. It's mightily tempted just to go for characters, loads of characters and so on, but I'm going to stick those 3 HQs. There's still another character to come, but it's not an HQ choice. So then we'll go on to, there's all the upgrades and so on. Just the way this points list has worked out, no plasma pistol here, just a regular pistol being taken. So he stays at 90 points, so a cheaper character option. So, but as I said, there's loads of HQs to choose from. Okay, so for troops, I'm running a battalion, so I need 3. So 3 I have. It's Blood Claws. So, just want to consider the Blood Claw for a moment here. So their job, I wouldn't say cannon fodder, but they're there to provide part of the block, the shield, with my character sheltering behind us. They are to protect. They're also there to clear screens and get stuck into close combat. That's what they're built for, Blood Claws. A normal Blood Claw is a standard Space Marine profile, 2 range, just 1 attack base on these. But they get Berserk Charge. So just bring this up here. So if made a charge move this turn until fight is resolved, add 1 to attack's characteristic. So let's just say one of these here. One attack base, then Berserk Charge, then you get Space Marines on the charge, so that's 3, and then I usually give the regular Blood Claws Chainswords, so that's another attack. So now you're looking at 4 attacks each, squad of 10, 40 attacks. Remember that on the charge they're on +1 to the hit rolls. Now those hits come through at 2s. If you've got characters nearby that can buff them, it'll be 2s to hit rerolling 1s. That's exceptionally reliable close combat attacks come through. And the Humble Chainsword isn't bad. The Astartes Chainsword now has a little bit of AP minus going on, AP minus 1. It gives you the extra attack. And on top of that, in turn 3 onwards, Assault Doctrine, you've got an extra AP minus 1 coming in on top of that. So now you've got 6s popping extra hits and AP minus 2 Chainswords. So it's amazing what, quite a small unit, the amount of attacks that they can generate. So the combo that I've gone for, I love doing this for Space Wolves because it's unique for them, and that is to put the options all in here. You can take a Wolf Guard Terminator pack leader, so you can actually bury a Terminator model inside the squad. So not only does it look very, very cool to have a Terminator, buried in amongst the models, it's sort of very Viking kind of style. You've got these taller than average men who are really well equipped, and the others cluster around them. It's very great. They're very good theme. The other thing I found, that if I ran a normal squad of Terminators, the opponent sees them and specifically targets them, start losing Terminator models. But now my Terminators are broken up amongst multiple units. It's hard to actually get through to them. You've got to get through to the regular infantry first. It seems to have worked really well, as well as it looking very cool. So first unit is, I had this Terminator model here. So giving him a Thunderhammer and a Stormshield. He becomes the, you can take just one of them per squad, Wolfguard Terminator Pack Leader. So the usual profile for Terminators, 3 wounds, 2 attacks, and so on. Just bury him in amongst the unit. And the way that my list works out is that I'm able to take an extra blood clot, just the points levels here. So it's actually a squad of 7. 1 Terminator in the middle, really nicely equipped, and that Stormshield and Thunderhammer, he's going to be buried in there quite nicely. The opponent's got to get through the regular Marines. Remember, they're all Armour of Contempt, 2 wounds each, and so on. And then 6 Marines here, including the Bloodclaw Pack Leader with the extra attack, with Bolt Pistols and Chainswords. So lots and lots of attacks, and then buried in there is a heavy-hitting Thunderhammer. Great thing about Thunderhammers for these is it's -1 to hit rolls, and it's +1 again for Space Wolves on the charge or heroically intervening. The cost of that is 156 points for that one. I then take another unit, the same kind of idea. This time it's a Terminator with 2 lightning claws, and again surrounded by 6 other models, like so. Now you're starting to see my infantry block forming up nicely, and then we'll go again with the lightning claws. And these, like so. Just love the idea of this. So I've got 3 Terminators, but they are well buried in there. And I guess you're screening, there's screening going on here in multiple levels. So the Blood Claws are screening the Terminators, and the Blood Claw squads are screening the characters, like this. So now you've got formation looking like that across the board. So the opponent's got to get through these Marines, who've got Armour of Contempt, possibly getting a light cover. You've got 2 wounds each. The opponent's got to try and chew through all of that, get through those, get to the Terminators, destroy multiple squads, and then to finally get onto the characters who have their own levels of protection as well. So I'm just thinking of this kind of block would advance and push through to the centre of the table. So to dominate the central line of the board, that's where the power is in the game. If you're able to control no man's land objectives and dictate play from the middle, it's a strong position to be in for 9th edition. So yes, they're on foot, they'll be advancing at 6 inches plus D6, they'll push up, but if they keep going, they'll get to the middle. They're not designed to run right across the board, but just to get to the middle, dominate play from there. This multi-layered block is the idea. It seems to work alright in games so far. Doesn't always go according to plan, but that's the block there that's designed to push forwards. We're going to reinforce that block as well. Which I'm going to move him out of the way. He doesn't really belong there. These are the units that belong here with this infantry block. So this is my kind of mid-table block to push to the middle of the board and go for the no man's land objectives. So 3 healthy sized, well-equipped units of Blood Claws. These 2 units here, just with the Terminator and the 2 lightning claws, actually work out 141 points each for them. So then I'm going to bring in another character Dreadnought. Again, to take advantage of this whole idea of defending these characters. So it's Murder Fang here. So he has character, keyword, it's a named character. So here he is. Fantastically themed close combat Dreadnought. Absolutely perfectly fits in with the whole concept here of this list. I'm going to stick him just in here. This is where he'd be, usually just sheltered. So you've got another Dreadnought roaming in amongst the battle line, again to the push to the middle of the table. 5 attack space for him, 8 wounds, 2 to hit in close combat, Stormbolt Heavy Flamer. So it's the Murder Claws. So times 2 strength. So he's fighting at strength 12, 8 minus 3, 3 damage each. You're rerolling your wounds, you're hitting on 2s, and you then get the Murder Maker, so you can reroll charge rolls made for him, and you get 3 additional attacks instead of 1 for shock assault. So now you're looking at 5 attacks plus 3, so 8 attacks. Turn 3 onwards, you could be popping extra hits on 6s and so on. Again, he's got Duty Eternal. So I just think that's excellent. Excellent Dreadnought. So Murder Fangs in. 150 points for him, so cheap enough. So you're kind of getting an infantry block with a Dreadnought, infantry block with a Dreadnought, infantry block with a 3rd Dreadnought. So again for elites, it's in the Space Marine book, it's a Venerable Dreadnought. So that's the 3rd model from the kit. And I mean, again, look at the theme of that. Massive frosty axe with a huge blizzard shield with all the pelts and the runes. Oh, it's just so cool. So brilliant kit. So he's in. Now, he's not a character, so he can be shot at. Bear that in mind. So he's not as protected. You can be a little bit more liberal perhaps with him, knowing full well, he's not going to get any benefits from sheltering behind stuff, so he just needs to go on by himself, make use of cover, obscuring terrain, just be a bit cunning with the way he operates. These can be a bit more bold, sheltering behind infantry units, but this one needs to be a bit more clever. Again, 6-inch move with these Murder Fangs. Just have a look here. Yeah. The Wulfen Dreadnought moves 8. It's a little bit quicker. Yeah, Murder Fang goes 8 inches, interesting, so worth bearing in mind. The Venerable Dreadnought, again 8 wounds, 3 up save. The great thing about these, weapon skill 2+, fantastic. So, yes, he comes with a built-in, he does, yeah, I thought he lost it, no, he's got it here. Built-in 6 up, feel no pain. Again, Duty Eternal. It comes with a Blizzard Shield. So the points wise is Venerable Dreadnought 135 points. Blizzard Shield is 15 points to give the 4+ invuln. Well worth taking, because I said he's not characters, he's not be protected by screens. So that 4+ invuln just means he stands a chance of tanking some hits. And then I pay the 10 points for the Fenrisian Great Axe. So it's actually here in the Space Marine book. So you've got 2 types of options with it. You can go for Scythe, strength for the user open -3, 1 damage. You get 2 hit rolls instead of 1, so like 8 attacks or more, depending on what you're doing. Or you got the Cleave, the big hit, +4 strength, strength 10, AP -3, D3 +3 damage. Excellent. It's -1 to hit roll, but it's Space Wolves, so 2s to hit, -1, and then +1 again. So hitting nice and reliably. Now, because he is 4 of invulnerable save, 6 I feel no pain, and then -1 damage, it's about as durable as you can get for a firstborn Dreadnought. And this thing, played against Tyranids recently, stood up quite well against Carnifexes, and actually managed to hack some of them down, I believe, as well. So this was one of the models that really was on the edge of the list for a long time, but I think Hour of Contempt's been a massive help. And just have a unit that can just stand up for itself quite well. There's been a number of games where this Dreadnought has given a solid performance, and I like the 3 running across here, so the Venerable Dreadnought remains. So again, all this is coming into the central block. You're starting to see the theme here, this block that's just going to push forwards. It does look quite intimidating. The opponent knows you've got Dreadnoughts sheltering behind, you've got Terminators buried deep inside Bloodclaw's units. The opponent can't just deal with 1 Bloodclaw unit, so there's multiple units to try and get through. So it's trying to present something as tough as possible. So yeah, so now this is a unit that was dropped. A lot of people don't like them anymore, but I'm starting to see the wisdom in continuing to take them. It's Wulfen. So, squad of 5, I'm bringing the Wulfen back. You may have seen them in the recent videos, in recent battle reports. I think they have every right to be in the list. They're unique to Space Wolves. Again, they're a brilliant sculpt. I think people dropped them because they did take a bit of a hit Can't advance and charge, which is annoying. But still, the rules for them are excellent. So I'll just give you the points breakdown on these. The way these are to operate in my list is not frontline troops, because I know the opponent's going to go after. The opponent is able to get them, they'll go after. They'll prioritise them above all of these. So these I usually anchor somewhere like behind here. Sheltering, making use of cover, similar to the Venerable Dreadnought, trying to shelter and stay out of trouble as much as possible. And then not to throw them away lightly, but to use them as more of a counterpunch unit. So say the opponent starts to push through an attack here and there, I then send the Wulfen in as a backup unit. And you can also send them in as a kamikaze type unit, because, Death Frenzy. So each time model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model has not fought this phase, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making attacks, and then be removed from play. So your opponent charges into them, wipes them out. You just leave the models lying down, and you do actually get to fight back before they are removed from play. That is a very, very useful rule. Points, as I said, I give the points. It's 125 points for 5 of them, 25 points a time. 16 points for 2 axes. 32 points for 2 Thunderhammers, Stormshields, and then the Frost Claws here, 5 points, I believe. The claws, So 178 points. I've kept it nicely below 200. It's quite an expensive unit. It's not too bad, but I do like the loadout there. Some like to go pure Stormshields, Thunderhammers, but that's the combo I've gone for. I very much like the Great Frost Axe. So what you're getting, your profile, weapon skill 2+, so +1 to that, so they're hitting nicely. They are movement 8, so they're quick enough. Strength 5, toughness 5, 2 wounds each, 3 attack space, which is superb. Squad leader gets 4 attacks, 4 up save. Armour of Contempt comes in for those, I believe, so that helps out. The Wulfen Frost Claws for the squad leader is +1 strength, -2, 1 damage. Each time the bearer fights. Wulfen Frost Claws. Get an extra attack. It can make 1 additional attack with this weapon. I'm just saying, just checking. The Wulfen pack leader is equipped with Wulfen Frost Claws. It's not Wulfen or 2 Wulfen Frost Claws, it's just Wulfen Frost Claws. Just wondering if you get like an attack for each one, but it's just, they come as a pair, I believe. So you just get the 1 extra attack, so 4 attack space +1, 5 attacks. And you're rerolling wounds as well, so a bit of shredding ability with that. Then giving, I think you're stuck on that option for the squad leader, and then I'm giving the 2 of them the Great Frost Axe, which is a really good weapon. +3 strength, so fighting at strength 8. 8 for -3 and 2 damage, no minus to hit rolls. It's very much like that. Then you got your Thunderhammer, ×2 strength, which is strength 10, -2, 3 damage, -1 to hit roll, but that's cancelled out again for Space Wolves. So all really good. The Storm Shields give that little bit of invuln save just to help protect them as well. You can't perform actions. So Wulfen Howl, it's an aura ability. Whilst a friendly Space Wolves infantry or biker or Space Wolves cavalry units within 6 inches of this unit, you can reroll charge rolls made for that unit. So that's actually going to help with the surge from the lines. If these are in support, they're giving out a buff to help the rest of the line. The infantry and cavalry anyway, and bikers. Whilst the friendly Space Wolf Blood Claws unit, which I'm running these, is within 12 inches, you can reroll charges for that unit. So I must try and remember that in games because it's a very, very useful buff. They could be sitting just here and buff all these Blood Claws units to reroll charges. Now they get Savage Killers. Each time you make an attack from a model in this unit, if your army benefits from combat doctrines, the assault doctrine is treated as being active for your army for that attack. In addition, this unit is always treated as having made a charge move for the purposes of shock assault. So you always count as having charged. So you're always +1 to your attack. And always in assault doctrine. So the extra AP minus is always going on. And you're always getting 6s popping extra hits. God, I think it's really good. So I think a lot of people dumped Wulfen, but perhaps a bit of an overreaction. I still rate them as a unit. I think they're really good. So they're in. The danger is they're not quite as quick. So sheltering and using them, being patient with them, more cunning, not throwing them up the table and then they get blown away, but just manoeuvring them carefully, choosing the right place to put them, and then counter punches. So I think, right, the opponent's going to attack me here, this unit, so I'm going to position these just over here and then swing them out as a counter punch, and then whatever they charge into, I will fight no matter what happens. Even if they're wiped out, they'll still get to swing. So that's another really important factor for them. So Wulfen definitely in nicely below 200 points. Very, very heavy hitting unit in close combat. So big fan of those. So again, this is the middle block of the army, looking something like this at this stage. So I've heavily invested in that. So I'm just looking what's next. Yeah. So there's two more elements to the army. I'd backline firepower support objective holding, and then fast attack, swift manoeuvring up the table. Those two elements we're going to cover next. So I think I've got a pretty strong block going to the middle of the board, but I can't neglect my home objectives. So we'll go to, maybe a bit out of sync here, but we'll go for that backline support first of all. So I'm going to go for long fangs here, heavy support, and I'm going to run the same kind of concept as I've done with the blood claws, and that is to bury Terminators inside smaller squads. So for these I take a Wolfguard Terminator pack leader, like so, and then surround him with 5 other models. We'll stick these over here. So there's one, and then they're going to take a second unit. So these can park themselves in objectives. The regular long fang models have got bolters, so they could sit and lend a bit of Dakka support. But the main firepower support can come from these Terminators. They're equipped with like a power sword and then a storm bolter, so a bit more Dakka. So when they sit still, for example, it's 10 shots of bolters plus another 4 from the Terminators. They're kicking out 14 shots at a time. I think they're still core. Yes, they are. And then the Terminator can also take, giving him the Cyclone missile launcher. Now, yeah, it's actually built in here. So Cyclone missile launcher, I can go for frag. So if I need Dakka, I've got the Dakka ability from the guns, and also kicking a bit of frag shots here. Heavy 2d6, it's blast. So if against the right target, you get a lot of shots. Strength 4 minus 0, 1 damage. Or I can go to crack. So I've got a bit of versatility there as to what I'm shooting at. Range 36 is a good reach. I can sit nicely at the back and then still provide that firepower support. My main heavy weapon is surrounded by Marines. There's 10 wounds to try and get through, to get past them, to get through to the heavy gun. Heavy 2, 2 shots, strength 8 minus 2 and d6 damage. So they could provide a decent enough firepower. Now, there's a couple of things to make this really good. The first is Signum. In your shooting phase, each time a unit shoots, if it contains a long fang pack leader, just the regular like sergeant, squad leader, which you get that as standard, you can select one model in this unit to enter that phase. Your ballistic skill goes to 2+. So you just give the Terminator 2+ ballistic skill. So now if you're sitting still, that's 2 heavy shots hitting on 2s. Very, very reliable. Then on top of that, you can pay 5 points to take an Imperium Cherub. Once per battle in your shooting phase, after this unit is shot, one model in this unit, which is going to be a Terminator again, can immediately shoot with one of its ranged weapons. So Cyclone missile launcher, once per game it can fire twice. So now you've got 2s to hit with 2 shots, and then repeat it, 2s to hit with another 2 shots. You can actually lay down some semi-decent heavy firepower support, either with heavy, like anti-armour, or you could do that with the blast option. And against the right target, you kick out 24 blast shots. Yeah, max out 12, max out 12 twice over. 24, fire on the other 14, kick out 40 odd shots from one small unit. And the cost of those is 90 points, 33 points to the Terminator, just 25 points to the Cyclone missile launcher, and then 5 points to the Cherub. So 153 point unit, pretty cheap. Don't want to invest too many points in them because I want to be pushing forwards with a nice block from the army. But you got durability there, you got firepower, and objective holding ability with those. So 2 long fang units, they seem to do alright for the list, so happy enough with them. Their job is just backline patrol, so holding objectives, firepower support, whilst the rest of the force pushes forward. Okay, so that's backline done, big block in the middle, then add a unit that just gets shot at. It just gets a lot of attention from the opponent. Thunderwolf cavalry, there's something psychologically about these. Space Marines riding huge wolves. It just attracts people's attention. So Thunderwolf cavalry, I'm still not totally sure what to do with these. Some have said I should combine the 2 units into one big block. That limits my flexibility as far as splitting up is concerned. The advantage of going for a bigger block though is stratagems and shielding of characters. So that's a big advantage. Another downside is morale. So I'm not sure. I might combine them all together just to see what happens. So they'll be led by him. I'll tuck him just there. And then Thunderwolf cavalry. So I was running 2 squads of 3. Each one with a squad leader with a power axe, looking something like this. Hopefully you can see them all on the screen. So that one, that's the squad leader, and then there's the other one. Like that. But I've just finished painting this guy, so he's now to go with them. So I actually have 7 Thunderwolf cavalry to bulk the army, bulk the attack wing out a bit more. So I could combine them into a squad of 7. No, I can't. So that's that answered. You can go up to squads of 6. So back we go. Let's just confirm that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick to what I originally said. Squad of 3, squad of 4. Squad of 6 is a ridiculous amount of points anyway. So Thunderwolf cavalry. These are, the downside is they just get shot at. They really just draw a lot of attention, which is a shame. But they're dangerous enough. So you've got 10-inch move. These are quick. You've got swift hunters. So you've got advance and charge available with these, same as the Wolf Guard battle leader. Or Wolf Lord, sorry. Movement 10, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 5, excellent. 4 wounds. These used to be 3 wounds, now 4 wounds. That's a lot of wounds to try and get through. You know, you could lose, fail an invuln save with damage 3 weapon and survive that. You still have a wound left. It's really good. 2 attacks base, but they do get a ton of attacks. 3 up save. So you get the crushing teeth and claws. Remember, you've got 2 attacks base with the marine. For the regulars, I just give them Bolt Pistol Chainsword or Stormshield Chainswords. The Chainsword gives them extra attacks. Space Marines on the charge for an extra attack, so that's like 4 attacks. Turn 3 onwards, you're popping extra hits on 6s. And then you get Crushing Teeth and Claws. That's the actual mount fighting. Each time the bearer fights makes 3 additional attacks with this weapon. So +1 strength, so strength 5, -2, which would be -3 in the Assault Doctrine. And these can pop extra hits, I believe, as well. And could be hitting on 2s potentially. So now you've got 7 attacks each potentially. A lot of attacks. So great for clearing hordes and getting stuck into stuff. For the squad leaders, there's 2 squads of 3. Originally, each squad leader I was giving the power axe, so +1 strength, or +2 strength, -2, and then 1 damage. For the power axe, not bad. Still a little bit of armor punching ability. But for this new model, I've actually paid the points to give him a Thunderhammer. So it's buried inside the 4-man squad is a Thunderhammer. So a bit of anti-character, anti-armor, a bit of punch to it to smash through targets with him. He'll be the squad leader, which is a base of 3 attacks. So I pay the points to give them all storm shields across the board. Don't play around with that at all. Need that protection. That 4+ invulnerable save is massive addition to durability. So now you've got 4 wound model, 3 up save, a storm shield with a 4+ invuln save, then push them onto a 2 up armor save, and then you've got armor of contempt on top of that. So Thunderwolf cavalry are tough. You know, they can be hit by the heaviest of weaponry, and they've got 4+ invuln saves, which is excellent. So that's about it with them. Just a blistering number of attacks. But I've often found they do attract a lot of attention. But having said that, if the opponent's directing a lot of attention against those, which if you throw them up the table, the opponent has to deal with them. If they're dealing with them, and it takes a while to grind through them, then that deflects away from other units that the opponent could be shooting at. So Thunderwolf cavalry is certainly a big distraction unit. If the opponent does ignore or doesn't deal with them, they can certainly pack a mean punch. Plus they'll be shielding a hard-hitting, durable, tough character moving up with them as well. So yeah, I think I need to cover points for you. It's Thunderwolf cavalry, the squad of 3 with a power axe works out 140 points. They're not cheap, too cheap. And then a squad of 4 with a power axe and a Thunderhammer is 200 points. So they are a fair bit of investment with them, but happy enough. So as I think I mentioned already, if you like the look of this model here, check out the tutorial for Space Wolves that should be live on the channel. That'll show you how to paint to this standard from start to finish. But that is the list here for the Space Wolves. So pure firstborn Space Marines. I think it's nice to do that. You know, obviously Primaris is a lot more popular now, but to have a pure firstborn Space Marine theme, you know, and some fantastic kits. The Dreadnought kits are brilliant. All these kits are good for Space Wolves. I still think they're very, very good. So they've held the line really, really well for firstborn Space Marines. So brilliant theme, and they're just a real departure away from sort of your standard spray them whatever colour you want vanilla Space Marines. These have a strong theme, similar to Blood Angels, nice strong theme and unique units for them. Same with the Space Wolves, some fantastic stuff for sure. So that's the list. You keep a lookout for it on Battle Reports on YouTube and over on channel membership as well. Check out the painting tutorial that's available. You can check out the Space Marines and Space Wolves Codex reviews to get a lowdown on all the options and so on. So that is a resource for you as well. Also on the channel you'll see army breakdowns for different factions as well. If you've enjoyed this video, then check out the other factions that are available. Maybe this has inspired you to get a 2,000 point Space Wolves army, then do make use of the outpost. Follow that link below for discount 40k. You can get your sprays, paints, accessories and models all from the outposts. And if your order's large enough, then you can get free postage even to many countries in the European Union as well. So that is the list for the Space Wolves. Keep a lookout for more videos in this series. Thanks for watching and tune in next time.